There were moments when it was difficult to wear both hats. I was acting with them at the same time, but I had to ask Jane or Jack to stay late. So that was difficult, yeah. Yes, I made several films when I was younger, 16-millimeter films, which gave me some sense of using the camera. Also, I worked with a television camera from a local news television station who helped me a lot with the technical work. Ironically and sadly, this was the same cameraman that went to Guyana and Jonestown and was killed at the airport. Compared to Cuckoo's Nest, yes, it was a different problem. In Cuckoo's Nest, the problem was that we were all in one location, which was the mental hospital, for such a long time. In the China Syndrome, the problems were designing a way to solve some of the production problems. Also, I wasn't acting in Cuckoo's Nest. Well, I think he's pretty proud now, at least particularly since Cuckoo's Nest. He always made an effort, though, to sort of stay in the distance and not have a strong influence one way or the other. I think he felt it was very important for me to try to find my own identity, which, if I haven't found it by now, it might be too late. Yeah. He's got I mean, it's amazing. I have like a little tiny dimple. This boy is 8 weeks old. He's got a dimple in the middle of his chin you can't believe. Needless to say, his grandfather is pretty proud. No. No. Doing a television series is extremely hard work. You do 14, 16 hours a day, 6 days a week. When you're making a movie, you have a lot more time and you're able to do a better job and a more complete job, and there's more satisfaction. Well, I just think that China Syndrome is going to be as successful, as popular, and as controversial as One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Thank you.
I think asking questions is more difficult because whether an interview will be good or not will depend on how well you ask questions, and to ask good questions requires a tremendous amount of research and background information. No, the character that I play in the China Syndrome is based on several weeks of observation of several women in television news in Los Angeles, and then a composite of all of them. No, there's no real similarity between Clute and the China Syndrome, except for the fact that they're both scary, but the China Syndrome is even more frightening, I think. It's more of a thriller than Clute. Clute was more of a character study. I think my husband, which may seem surprising since he has nothing to do with movies, but he was the first person who I really respected, who took the work seriously, more seriously, in fact, than I did. And he taught me to think a lot about the role of culture in a nation and to understand that we have a responsibility to contribute to it in a positive way. Well, we would like to make a film together. We've worked on a project about the American Revolution, but we haven't been able to get a script yet, but we hope to. Well, when you're as active as I am and my husband is, and on a lot of different levels, you have to organize your life very well. You have to say goodbye to leisure time, pretty much. But so far, so good. My family is happy. My children are stable. They keep me rooted in reality. They don't let me get spoiled. It's real easy in this business to start taking yourself seriously, but when I walk in the door, that all goes away, whether I like it or not. I like the fact that it gives people more than their money's worth on an entertainment level, while at the same time addressing themes that I think will be central not only to people in North America, but to people throughout the world. And that theme is the problem that arises when we place the public's welfare in the hands of corporate executives who really only care about maximizing their profits. This is a very central problem. Thank you.
Well, you're right. Yeah, it's been a year. I found a play called Tribute, which I love, that was written by Bernard Slade, who wrote Same Time Next Year, which was a big smash, and I was back on Broadway all last year doing that. No. I hope I never do. That's a good question. No, I'm not totally fulfilled. I am very, very pleased with the good fortune that I've had, and I'm very pleased with some of the work that I've done. And I think that I'm getting better in my craft, and all I want to do is be the best actor that I can be. And I'm slowly getting there, but I never will achieve that. I hope I don't achieve it, because then I don't know what to do. Where's the nearest gutter? I don't know. I'm very, very fortunate. From the time I was 8 years old, and I'm guessing at that, it may have been even earlier, all I ever wanted to be was an actor. And the grace of God, it worked. And I never really had to seriously have another job. You know, I did the usual starving bit for a few years as the kid in New York trying to get into agents' offices and everything, but it worked for me. And I really have no idea what else I would have been, except I write songs. I'll sell you songs. I have a trunk. I'll give you the songs. I'll do anything if you'll play the songs. How about I could have been a professional golfer? I could have been anything. And there are many critics who say I'm not an actor. I might as well. Anyway, I'm very happy the way it's worked out. The fact that most of the well, not most of the dialogue, but almost half of the dialogue is scientific jargon and terms that nobody, including me, really understands. And yet you have to convey to the audience what is going on and evoke a sense of terror, really, in them, because there may be a fatal accident that I am trying to prevent in a power plant. And to do that only using words and scientific expressions is kind of a challenge. It intrigued me about the part. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to play the part. Plus the fact that I think whatever really, finally, when you get down to it, the character lives or rises or falls, let us say, not in what he says anyhow, but in what goes on in the eyes and what's going on in the gut and in the heart, I think. Oh yeah, I think well, the entire picture was a thrill as far as that goes. You know, as I probably said earlier, I've never been involved in a thriller, really, before, a Hitchcock-type film. And it's one of the few times I read a script where there's a terribly exciting plot. The story itself is like a murder mystery, you know, it's marvelous and it grips you. But unlike what happens most of the time in films like that, the characters are very, very rich. They're marvelous parts. Usually when the plot takes over and the characters are skin deep, and it doesn't matter because you're caught up in the plot, like in the airport films, etc. That's not the case in this one. The plot is exciting, and so are the characters. She's terrific. I just asked her. Oh, yeah, no. No, Jane is marvelous. I think that I've been very, very fortunate over the many years that I've been in films. I've worked with some extremely talented ladies and some very attractive and lovely ladies. I've never worked with anybody that I didn't like. I'm fortunate, I guess, in that aspect, too. But certainly none more than Jane. I think that she has matured as a woman and as an actress as gracefully as one could ever hope. She's incredibly attractive, and I think that she is probably going to end up as the actress of her generation, I think.